Lanterns, starring Aaron Pierre and Kyle Chandler. I gotta tell you, when it was announced, Aaron Pierre, I paused for a moment, but he is a great actor. He's really, really good, and this is his second time playing a Marine, and as far as I know, thinking back, the first time he's played a superhero. Kyle Chandler, I wasn't sure about him as Hal Jordan, but he is knocking it right out of the park. If DC took this kind of a path with their movies, they'd easily be able to keep up with Marvel. Marvel and DC have, through the years, borrowed from one another. There's an entire list that you could make of heroes and villains that they've taken and improvised and changed and used on their own platform. Superman becomes Gladiator. Actually, Superman becomes Hyperion. Superman becomes Blue Marvel. There's a lot of them. Batman becomes kind of Daredevil and more Moon Knight. There's a lot, back and forth, back and forth. They're used to doing that, is what my point is. So when Marvel came out and they had these movies that were really, really good, DC tried to emulate, in my opinion. They tried to emulate what they were doing. Now, seeing this show is proof that if they wanted to, they could go in another direction and be great. They don't have to follow in Marvel's footprints or follow in what you would perceive a superhero movie to be. Because this is a superhero show, but it's also a detective show. It's a whodunit. It's a mystery show. It's a murder show. It's really good. It's really good. Hal Jordan has been training John Stewart to become Green Lantern, but it's very clear Hal Jordan does not want to give up the ring. Now, he says that he's training John Stewart as a backup. It's not really how it worked in the books. The ring chose you. It's rare that the actual Guardians chose you, but the ring chooses you when your predecessor passes. And he's right. And here it only asks one question: are you afraid? It picks you because of a series of qualities, but being fearless is the primary thing. But in the show, he's got to train him. He's got to train John Stewart. He's got to teach him how to do the thing, man. So they've been doing it for 2 months. Stewart is trying his best to be very patient because he's learned in his 2-month time with Jordan that Jordan can be a little bit of a Richard. Richard's not the word I'm looking for. Shorter than Richard. Starts with a D. You probably know. He's a Richard. So, Stewart is just being cool. He doesn't want to blow the gig, though I don't know how he could blow it because he's been chosen. That's pretty much it. You can't really unchoose somebody because somebody else didn't like him. I mean, Kilowog can't say he's the trainer. Can't say, oh, I don't think you'll make it. You suck. Give me the ring back. He can say that, but he can't actually do that. Once you're chosen, you're chosen. But Hal Jordan kind of threatens him with, if you don't make it. So he's trying to be cool. There's an incident that happens where Jordan is trying to train Stewart. And he's like, you want the ring? Here you go. And he puts it on the dashboard and he's like, meet me down the road, 3 miles up the street. And he jumps out of the car. They're in a car. Car goes over the edge. He could have killed him. Which is another thing. I'm thinking he really doesn't want to give that ring up. So Jordan goes over the edge. He takes the ring. He slips it on his finger before the car crashes, and he saves himself from being unalived. But in reality, he could have been bouncing around in that car and just not gotten the ring. The ring could have fallen off the dashboard and fallen onto the floor. He couldn't have gotten the ring. He could have got the ring and was like, and couldn't have thought of anything quick enough to save himself. There's a lot of things that could have happened that could have gone bad, but he saves himself. And then he goes to find Jordan, and he's still cool. He's still collective. They make two complete dynamics with these guys. Jordan is he's seasoned, but he's a little bit of a hothead, and apparently he's a drunk. He starts to show off by saying he's drunk. Stewart is calm, cool, and collective, precise, and he's a former Marine, hoorah, and which is cool because that goes back to the book. He is a Marine in the book. So Jordan, while Pierre is walking down the street, while Aaron Pierre is walking down the street, headed back, he gets a ring generated image of Jordan. And Jordan, that the image explains that it's sort of like being the cloud. You put stuff up in the cloud, sometimes you got to take a look at it, it reminds you of stuff or whatever. The ring basically put Jordan's consciousness in the cloud with information. Also, as a lookout to tell him if one particular thing happens. And it has happened. He gives it to Pierre, who has the ring. He gives it to him in code that Jordan would understand. So when he goes back and he finds Jordan, he says, I saw your consciousness. And it had a message. He gives Jordan a message and boom, Jordan takes off. Jordan is definitely a Richard in this show. A likable guy, but definitely a Richard. He leaves Stewart stuck in a city and he flies across country. What? The Green Lantern ring, you can pull battleships and starships and hundreds of people, and you couldn't take the dude with you? He did that on purpose. He did it on purpose. So he goes there, and this is where the mystery starts. It's old, quaint, quiet, okey-doke type town. One where, like Jordan says, everybody knows everybody. Everybody's related. One of those kinds of places. Not bad, just stating the specific characteristics of this type of town. There's a mystery that's unfolding with a shooting. Jordan immediately says, it's aliens, man, it's aliens. And the sheriff doesn't want to believe that. Nope, it's not aliens, bro, it's not aliens. It's my jurisdiction. Stay out of my town, stay out of my investigation. But the more the story goes on, the more it seems like, yeah, it might be aliens. In the show's lanterns, there's got to be some aliens in there. And as Jon Stewart says, we're all aliens. Just depends on what planet you're standing on. If you're from Mars, humans are aliens. He's right. Everybody's an alien, depending on which planet you're on. The show starts in 1906. And then the main cusp of the story, where the mystery evolves, is taking place in 2016. 2016. Then, at the end, they show that there's a continuance. So the story is in at least two parts. It shows Jon Stewart's, essentially his origin. It shows in 2016 where he's starting to learn from Jordan and where the mystery starts. And the conclusion of said mystery is in 2026, which I guess is where the DCU is at. DCEU. Depends on what they're calling it now. It shows where that's at. So it looks very interesting. The show isn't just, big explosions. I'm going to take the ring and make a giant fist and punch you in the face. I'm going to fly through space. I'm going to blast a bunch of aliens. It's not that. It is an actual murder mystery. And if you think about it, if Green Lantern were on Earth, right now today on Earth, and he was trying to solve a mystery, he wouldn't just use the ring and grab people and shake them and say, tell me what's going on. You'll get an answer maybe, but maybe not the truth. So they've got to investigate. And John Stewart's a Marine sniper. It gives him a level of stillness. He sees things that other people miss. Hal Jordan has been doing this job, I believe he said 20 years at this point. That's a long time to do a job where every single time you go out, you could get, unalived every single time. And he's been doing it for 20 years. So he's good at the job. And like I said, he immediately identifies that there's an alien presence. And he immediately identifies who is an alien disguised as a human. He's been doing it for a long time. These are things that he knows, man. So with John Stewart, with Hal Jordan, and with the sheriff, that seems to be competent. They have to resolve this mystery. And it is good, man. It is really, really good. I hope the pace stays the same. It doesn't really have to pick up a lot. It doesn't have to have a whole lot of energy blasts and stuff like that. He only makes a couple of constructs. He makes some counterfeit money, which is, I'm sure, illegal. It should be, at least. And he makes, and to be honest, if he used counterfeit money on a jukebox, and he orders a bunch of drinks and stuff and food. So he must be using counterfeit money all over the place. He must not have any cash on him, which kind of makes sense. He's a Green Lantern. He doesn't really have a job now. He just flies through space, which is a good reason to use counterfeit money, I guess. But it's stealing, because once he stops thinking about the money, it disappears and turns into dust. So he's a thief, I guess. And he uses it to open a bottle. He makes a bottle opener. And John Stewart uses it to light a cigarette, for somebody he really should not have met. But this show is good. This show is better than I was expecting. In fact, this show is so good right now, right at the beginning, that I would give Lanterns 9 bags of popcorn. Just off the first episode. Second episode might be garbage. I do not know yet, but I'll know Sunday. But right now, solid 9, man. Solid 9. Aaron Pierre is a great actor. And like I said, he has a level of stillness that presents and projects strength. He can use his stillness and just give glances, and it projects anger or fury. He doesn't have to do all that stuff. I think one of the best representations of him doing his thing, one of his best movies so far, I think would be Rebel Ridge. And that was good too. That was really good. It's sort of, you'll have to ask me about it in the comments, but in my opinion, it's sort of a more modern Rambo. It's Rambo. But either way, I dig this. 9, solid 9, man. But that's what I think. More importantly, what do you think? Now you've seen the video, let's talk about it in the comments. And as always, if you like the video, if you like the content, subscribe. And then like.
Be super. Like, share, and subscribe.